And we are live. Good morning. All right. Yes, sir. We got that. Let's go. All right, we are on. Good morning to everybody.
Good
How are you?
morning. Good morning.
Share this video, like this video, tell a friend, tag someone, let them know that we're
Tell a
back on
friend.
again. This is Miracle Monday, and this week, like I said, we're beasting this week. We are running twice as long. We're working out twice as hard, and we are running because we want to continue to keep the awareness of gun violence victims. But not just because of the victims, right? But the idea of praying with our feet means to say that we have to pray, but we also have to move. And anytime that you've seen in the Bible that people have been praying, there is a call to action. So today we're calling to action the community, people, houses of worship, churches, ministry leaders, evangelistic teams who can't travel to foreign countries. We are calling them out so that they can do that type of work. So we're running, and we want you to join us this week. Every day this week, we're going to be having really great conversations with people from around the country. I'm very delighted for us to have on with me my very good friend, Marva Bratwaite. She's a champion, a strong woman of God, doing her thing. Come from tragedy to triumphant, um, during the midst of difficult times in her life. She's here. So, Marva, how are you? Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. God bless you. How are you?
I am doing totally fine. Really good to have you on
Praise
this
God.
morning.
Thank
You
you.
have such a wonderful and powerful um, life, that you're gonna be writing a book soon, I guess, right? And excuse me for the noise.
From your mouth to God's ear.
You're gonna be writing a book soon.
From your mouth to God's ear.
That's right. You got to write a really powerful book. I hope that I'm gonna be in the four words. So why don't you tell us a little bit? I'm gonna have to mute my phone at some point. I'm so sorry. I'm walking from the park.
It's okay.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your story?
Um,
Whatever the
12
Lord
years
leads you to
ago.
share.
Yeah, sure. Um, 12 years ago, actually this year, next month, September 30th, will make it 12 years since I've lost my only daughter, my only child. Um, it wasn't to gun violence. She was murdered in my home by a cousin, a family member, who I think at that time she was, I think, 14, 15. My daughter's birthday is September 9th. So for my daughter, she just turned 16. I took the cousin in to help her out. Uh, since my home is a Christian home, my daughter, she was an awesome child, and I'm not just saying that because she was my daughter. Um, she danced halftime for the New York Knicks. She was a praise dancer. She worked at the Brooklyn Children Museum. So she had a path for her. And we took the family member in thinking that she would see and want to do better. But that spirit of jealousy came upon her. And one day I left them in the house to go to the bank and run a few errands. And when I came back home, it was a little hard to get into my apartment because she bolted the door from the inside and then she went down the fire escape. And when I was able to get into the house, I found my daughter laying um, on the floor, lifeless. Um, so uh, it's been 12 years, and the hardest time for me, it's normally September because it's the time that I gave birth to my daughter. And it's also the same month to where I lost her.
Yeah, this and God bless you for even helping, and then to be helping someone, and then to take your daughter. That's always a hard thing to do, to even
Well, Judas did it
accept.
to
You were doing
Jesus.
good. Sorry. I
Judas
mean,
did it to Jesus.
yeah, yeah, and you were helping the way that Christ would want you to help. And here it is that your own cousin, flesh and blood, took the life of your daughter for nothing. So how have you been coping, and what advice would you give to people who going through a loss? It could be a different type of loss, but what do you say to people who have lost everything? This is your only daughter, lost by the hands of your cousin. You help open up the doors to her to help her to come on in, and yet still this happens to you. How are you coping? What has been your journey, and what could you tell people who have lost something so meaningful to them?
Um, in the beginning, for me, when I lost my daughter, it became kind of like a platform where I was able to speak to other parents who also lost their child, and talk about gun violence and um, you know that sort of losing my daughter. In the beginning, when a parent loses a child, there's a process. That process is, first you're numb. You want to do something. You want to become active. You have all this energy, all this passion, um, because you lost your child. However way you lost that child. Um, but then it comes a time that you have to deal with that hurt. You have to deal with that pain. And I think sometimes people continue to remain busy, not trying to deal with that emotional side. And for me, when I lost my daughter, my strength, my faith was always in God. Um, I had my church mom, God rest her soul, she just passed away. I had praying people around me. Um, but I also came to a time to where, wait a minute, God, what's going on here? You know, I did everything you asked me to do. My house was a house of prayer. We had Bible study. Um, we went to church. We walked the streets and we talked about God, just like God told us to do. So for a moment, I felt as if God had left me, as if God had abandoned me. So while I was outside being strong and telling people, about God, etc., I was boxing with God on the inside. When I go into the house, I was boxing with God, because I couldn't understand, Lord, I didn't do anything wrong. I was seeking you. I preached the gospel on the train. Why did this have to happen to me? So for a moment, I let go of his hand. He never let go of me. I let go of his hand and I went about my own way, because it's a pain that no one can ever imagine. And I think the worst thing anyone can tell a parent who lost a child is, I know how you feel. If you've never lost a child, please don't say that. We're not talking about your mother, we're not talking about your husband. It's a different story when you lose a child. You
Right.
carry that child for 9 months. You
Yes.
raise that child. You do not know that pain. So please do not tell a parent that you understand that pain if you've never experienced it. And I went about my own business for a minute, and because I didn't want to be bothered, I felt as if I lost everything. I died. I literally died. When my daughter died, I died with her. But I prayed a particular prayer before when after my daughter died. I said, Lord, whatever you do, there's two prayer I pray. Don't change my heart, and please don't let me lose my mind. That was always my two prayer. Don't ever let me change my heart, and don't let me lose my mind. And if it hadn't been for God on my side, ooh, Lord, I would have been in the G building. I would have been 6 feet under. So as I continue to try to walk without God, I became depressed. I lost hope. I lost hope. I would walk the streets. I wasn't strong enough to take my own life because I know I had a lot of enemy and I didn't want them to, oh, she's gone. So
Thank God. Don't let the enemy win. Don't kill
so I
yourself.
kept on going. But
That's
as I
right.
was going, I was no good to myself and I was no good to other people. And then one day I finally say, God, I can't take this anymore. This feeling is the worst feeling in the world. Take my life or heal me. And if you heal me and you take me out of this place, I promise you, I will be your mouthpiece. I will stand on the rooftop and I will tell about your goodness. And let me tell you, once I made that conscious decision to go back to God, I had to go back to him. He never left me. When I look over my shoulder, he was always there. He kept me. He protected me. He sustained me. And I'm not saying I didn't go through. I went through, but I was never alone. But when I made that conscious decision to give all my hurt, all my pain, all my disappointment, all over to him and to forgive myself, the healing process began, you know? And if it had not been for God on my side, oh my goodness, I don't know where I will be. You know, God can take all the scatter pieces and he can put it together perfectly again. Not saying that I don't remember my daughter, I don't talk about my daughter, but that pain, that baggage, I no longer have to carry it because I gave it over to him. He carries it for me. You know, there are going to be moments where once in a while I have a bad day, but I always remember, Lord, take this. And when I gave myself back to the Lord, I learned to take everything to him. I acknowledge my handicap. When you lose a child, it's a handicap, because why I say it's a handicap, it's something that can keep you in one place for a long time. And until you acknowledge that handicap, and until you know that there's only one person who can fix this handicap, that pain will always be there. And for me, I learned the antidote for my handicap, and that is living in his presence. I have to stay in his presence. When I am not in his presence, the enemy can come in with your mind and your emotions and all kind of stuff. So I know that when I live in that place, that's where my peace is. That's where my joy is. And I can always tell people about the love of God because God is real. He is so real. He wants to heal us. It doesn't matter what our situation is. He wants to lift all the weight off of us. He doesn't want us to walk around sad and depressed and oppressed. He wants us to be free. He came to set the captives free, and who he has set free is free indeed. And I am
Yes.
so free. So now I have to ask the Lord daily to take my hurt and my pain and use it for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Use it for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do with my pain? What can I do about losing my daughter? Do I forget about it and go under a mat and die and not talk about it and not let people know how I became better, how I became whole? I'm whole. He
Right.
made me whole again. So
Yes.
every day, my assignment is, Lord, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? So whenever I can share my testimony and tell people about the goodness of God and what he has done for me, while I lost my daughter, that's what I do. I'm healed enough to where I can talk about her.
Yeah, it is a miraculous transformation. Um, I met you, after that happened, and the Marva that I knew then to the Marva that I know now is so different. And you have taught me a lot too, as well, as to how to support and how to minister to people who have lost everything in terms of their child or their children. Some people have lost one son, some people have lost two children, some people have lost their only child. Um, but your situation, look at you, how you talking about, your prayers are so succinct in the fact that you're saying, Lord, don't allow me to lose my mind, and Lord, don't allow me to change my heart. And that is powerful. I think that you just did a whole sermon for us. Just how to come from tragedy to triumph, right? From being a victim to being to being victorious. Looking at how you can be in the pit and now you in the palace of God's presence. You have just turned your pain into purpose. Looking at your loss, but saying, you know what? Even though I lost my only child, I don't want to lose Jesus. I don't want to lose my heart. I don't want to lose my soul. I don't want to lose my connection with God. And those things are so powerful as you share with us today. So people who are going through and they're in this moment right now, I have to visit a mom who have been um, sleep in her bed, can't get up for a week. Her son died last week. What do you tell to someone like that who is listening now? Like right now in this moment, how do they get from that place of that deepness of pain and suffering? How do they pull themselves out, like in that moment?
Um, Let me start by saying this first. When I lost my daughter, I was saved. I was saved. I know Jesus. I experienced the Lord. I serve the Lord. So when tragedy comes to a believer, although it hurts, we always know we are anchored. We always have that prayer support. And if you're not saved and you go through the same thing that I have experienced, sometimes the process is very different and it's hard. So my advice is like real quickly, in the beginning when I used to meet mothers who lost their child to gun violence, to violence, what I realized is I didn't want to meet them in the beginning of the stage, the first stage. Because the first stage is they don't know you. They're not going to remember you. It's a whole lot of noise they're hearing because they're numb. They're not to that place to where reality is actually there, you know? So for that mother who just lost her son, the pain is real, the feeling is real. My advice to her is number one, make certain that the people that are around her are people that she can trust. Because there are people out there that are
Hmm.
going to try their best to manipulate you, to take advantage of your gullible state. You're
You
very
think that
gullible right now.
you're saying that there are actually situations that like that, like people take advantage of people who are hurting that bad for their
Oh,
own gain?
oh, the devil is always at hand. He's always working. He's always working. And there are
Right.
people that are going to come uh, thinking that they're an angel, but they're not. They're there to take whatever they can from you. So I will advise that mother to just have people that she can trust around her. That's one. Wherever she goes, if she goes out, let her take
Hmm.
someone that she can trust.
Right.
That's one. Never go alone. Never be alone. That's one. Number two, oh, prayer works. Prayer works. You don't need a person to tell you, oh, baby, it's going to be all right. No, you need someone to pray, someone that knows how to bombard heaven and keep you. There is nothing like a praying woman. There is nothing like a person who has faith to go
Um,
before the throne for you.
my
Even if
God.
you have, because you're gonna have moments where your attitude is gonna be so nasty.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna be so nasty because you're not yourself. You're all over the place. But you need that one person that have that patience with you, to call on you, to check on you, to make sure you eat, and to pray with you, even if you don't want to pray. All right, you don't want to pray today, but I'm gonna still pray for you on my own time. And it's okay for them to talk. Don't ever tell a parent how long to mourn or how to mourn. Let them be. Let them be. So those are my two advice. Be careful who are in your space, and find people to pray. Where even
Yeah,
if you don't want to pray, there's someone there praying for you and with you.
and I tell you that those are some solid advice because when we walk into a home sometimes just to comfort the family, in those moments they have no idea who we are, and so they have a moment just to be able in their spirit to say, do I trust this person? Do I trust these men and women, or do I not trust them? And more times than
We
not,
don't think about trust. We just go with the flow.
yeah,
We just think that everyone is there to help us.
yeah. And a lot of people, and you're right,
If,
I just
if
didn't
they're
want
not
it to
there
say.
just for the camera, if they're not there just for the camera, they're there for other purpose. They're,
Now,
they're there for other reasons.
you're sure right because when I met you, many years ago, I did not know that side of all of this that was happening. I was like coming innocently, like, oh, we want to help, we want to support you. But then there are other
Yeah.
people who's doing other things. There's
And you were
news
very
stories.
helpful.
Thank you. There's people who want to do news stories. It was a big news at that point in time. So everyone is saying that the news outlets are calling the mothers. They get your number from someplace. I don't know. Before we get there, they're at your door. And so you're right. You got to try to figure out who do I talk to, who are not
Yeah.
using me for their own purpose,
Yeah.
and to find that person who can
Yeah.
really pray with you and could pray for
Yeah.
you, praying with you and praying for you. And I'm sure that there's sometimes, like you said, you didn't feel like you wanted to pray. You didn't feel like your best moment, but someone who was saying, I'm going to pray you through this. I'm not going to allow
My
you to lose
church mom
yourself.
never let go of my hand.
Wow,
My
she
church
held on to
mother,
your
oh my
hand.
goodness. Listen, I would be at her house and I would wake up in the morning with her praying at my feet. She prayed me through. Even when I mess up, she never told me I was a sinner, I did this. She said, baby, Jesus loves you. Baby, Jesus have a plan for you. Always, always praying. Always had an encouraging word, even when I didn't believe it. And her prayer carried me. It has kept me, and
That
I thank God for her.
No, thank God for it too as well.
Yeah.
Um, it's amazing if you're joining us. I think that most of you who are joining us, you probably have been here from the start. But I'm speaking to Marva Bradwaite. Marva had started the Shannon Bradwaite Foundation. Probably on hiatus now.
Mhm.
We still going. I mean, if I
I
if
don't want to talk about that yet. I
okay,
was, but I'm trusting God again.
okay,
So, like
no,
I said in the beginning, you're all active and you're doing all kind of stuff, because you want your child's name to live on. But then there's a moment that you have to stop whatever you're doing, and you have to take that healing process. You have to become whole mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
mm-mm,
And until you're there, you cannot help no one else. We're trying to help other people when we're broken.
mm,
You cannot be broken trying
Right.
to fix other people,
Heal.
or you're trying to get strength. Hmm?
Right. You have to be healed in order to heal people, you're saying.
You have to be healed. Yes.
And so
Yes.
you have to stop just being the idea of just doing and then be healed. So then now you're saying that now that you're healed, well, you're at a better place. You still have the loss,
He
but you
did
don't
it
have the.
for me. He can do it for you. He
Yeah.
did it for me. Oh my goodness. Pastor Monroe's, I don't need anyone. It's me and Jesus. It's me and the Holy Ghost. Oh, I've learned how to call on him in every time, every area, every time of the day because I've seen his hands. I have seen God's hands. To where that I tell you, oh my goodness, I am so careful of who I let into my space. I am so careful not to step out of the will of God because I know where I came from. And I know if I just make that wrong step, where it can lead, you know? So I know where my strength and my healing comes from. And I stay in that place so I can maintain it with his help.
And I was saying thank you for sharing those things. And I was saying we just have a few more moments as we just have this conversation with Martha Bradwick, who is joining us this morning. This week we're having a full week this week with guests from different backgrounds, different walks of life. As I've said to all of you over and over again, we don't have to go and look for material. We don't have to go and try to dig people up. We have been helping and supporting families for years and years. This is just something that God has laid in our hearts to do, and we want to share all of this experience. We have all this experience bottled up, all of these powerful women and men who have went through great tribulation and have come up triumphant. Their robe basically is washed in white now, who have been washed with the tears of their eyes, but also have been blessed by their knees being in the lowest form that you can be on your knees, but also being at the highest place is that when you're on your knees, you are connecting with God. It's just a time of posture. And you don't have to just be on your
Yes.
knees. You can be in so many different ways. And the Bible
Sitting.
have all of the different description as to how people prayed,
Yeah.
whether they're standing or sitting or lying prostrate before God. The point is that you have to be in God's presence, asking him to say, Lord, show me what you want me to do and how you want me to move forward. So we are sharing these moments with you so that those of you who are listening, you can be empowered. You can feel encouraged that someone actually know what you're going through. That you are encouraged to hear from those who have been through the worst time of their life, but yet still they're triumphant and they're victorious now and can come back and can share those things with you even on those times. So it is a wonderful opportunity to just be able to speak to you, to see you again. I need to definitely come get my glasses done, but I wanted to say one more thing, right? If I I applied for the David Prize. I don't know if you know what the David Prize. The David Prize is New Yorkers apply for $200,000 that you get this money. You get this money, and you can do. You have to give a plan, and folks, look at your plan, and they decide is this plan good enough. So my plan for the David Prize, which I didn't win, uh, my plan my plan was to give every person who lost their son or their daughter to gun violence or violence in New York City in the five boroughs financial help. Whether it's to pay a bill, whether it's to take off work for a month, whether it's anything that you need, food, get food, pay down on your car note, pay down on your mortgage, pay down on your rent. We didn't want, but I know that God is going to have it where someone is going to give me $200,000 to get it done. But I was just thinking, like
Yeah.
like people like yourself who um who are so powerful and who can do such great work. But the world, the people of the world, when they look at ministry or when they look at nonprofits, they don't look at people like you who have been through. the real test of time, who have survived. You could have lose your mind, you said, number one, and you didn't want to lose your heart in God. When people talk about in church, oh, I nearly lose my mind. I'm not talking about no, small thing that you were just saying, well, I'm frustrated because somebody left me. I'm talking about losing your only daughter. Like, I'm talking about something major in your life. But they don't recognize you or recognize like your organization of value that they would want to invest in your ministry, as I would call it. And that is a sad part for me, though. But how are you going to be, how do you think that, how should the world see this? Or if you would have to appeal to someone who would have this cash flow, um, what would you do with that type of funding to help people? And we'll close on that.
Ooh, I love the youth. I love the youth. I love the youth. Oh my goodness. Youth ages 13 to 19. I think that we are living in troubled times. And even when we look at crime and what is going on, a lot is being done by young black men, teenagers who haven't even made it to 2025. And I think a lot of that comes from broken home, not having mentors, not knowing anything about God. They're just lost, you know. And I was talking before about, when you're in a gullible state, that's where the enemy comes in. And the enemy are gang members. They're seeing these young boys, young men who are looking for love, and they, take them up and make them to join gangs and become drug dealers. And that's a life gone down the road. But if we can just try to help them before they get to that place, giving them hope, giving them strength, giving them mentors, letting them know that you're not going to die at the age of 21. Some of them have no vision. Some of them will tell you, I'm going to be dead by 2021. The devil is a liar, So if we can just invest in our youth, invest in them. Don't judge them because their pants are saggy and then they cuss in it. It comes from somewhere. And if we can understand that and just find a building, find a place to just pull them off of the streets and put them in there, clean them up, teach them self-worth. The Bible says without a vision my people perish. They don't have a vision. We can help them to get vision, help them to live, speak life into them, speak hope and purpose into them, and let them know that they are somebody, they're loved. So I would take that money and I would be like Deborah Habit stand. Remember her? Oh my
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
goodness, that woman! I love that woman. I love what she has done with the story of losing her son by opening up
Yes.
the Jewish Children Museum. Ah, Lord Jesus, yes. You just made me excited. Let me tell you, whatever God has for his people, he will work it out because he
Right.
knows our heart and he knows it's not about prosperity or, putting our face on a milk carton or anything like that. Is just coming back and give a helping hand to those that need it, you know?
Yeah. Boy, I tell you, I am going to be living for the day. I got a lot of running to do, like you said. I'm
You
gonna
will have
run
a
the
lot
sole off my
to do.
shoes.
That's
but
all
but
right.
but we're gonna do as much as we can do for sure. I think that someone is gonna be touched, gonna be blessed, and going to bless
I
us with
pray
that
so.
type of. Sorry, what did you
I
say?
said I pray so.
Yeah, we pray
I
so that.
pray so.
Yeah, we believe so. That's why we at this. We're not gonna give up. We're not gonna let up. We're gonna do what we have to do. Someone said the touching and agree on the $200,000. Yes, sir. I am agreeing with you that you agree with me. We're gonna get it. Some people who have
Start planting that seed.
yeah, yes, ma'am. Let's do it. But listen, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And on our live feed, we really appreciate your testimony. You're such a
Praise God.
powerful woman who have gone through so much, but yet still you're so
God be all the
triumphant.
glory. I am
To
nothing.
God, to God be all the
God all the
glory.
glory. I am nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and we're gonna keep in touch. God's blessings, and I'll
will
see you
do.
again soon. Thank you again.
All
Really
right, be
appreciate
blessed.
you.
Bye
All right,
bye.
be blessed. All right, take care. All right, folks. We want to thank Marva Bradley for joining us this morning on our I Run live feed. Um, yes, Johnny. I think that the mayor's office. This should be part. I think that they did start a. I think the mayor's office did start a. I want to say they did start something for moms. I forget what it's called, but I do know that they did start something that effect. Yes, and touching the agreement on the $200,000. Yes, sir. I am agreeing with you too as well. Meet us every morning at St. John Park in Bergen, Schenectady. That's right. You can join us. You can join us every morning at the park. Um, we want to also encourage individuals. We know that we used to run um, at the Lincoln Terrace Park, but we were actually at Lincoln Terrace Park last week doing some work with Senator Myrie. And we know that we had the case of the young man McLeod who was shot and killed in Lincoln Terrace Park like 3 weeks ago. And then yesterday we had who was shot yesterday and killed in Lincoln Terrace Park as well. I guess probably this week we'll try to hit back Lincoln Terrace Park, but we have to become a society that even in parks that we're supposed to be free, able to have our children, being able to go and shoot ball in the park without the fear of being shot and killed by gun violence. So we're running every morning to continue to highlight the plight of gun violence. We're gonna keep on running this week again. We're gonna have some really powerful guests. Going to be talking to hopefully Pastor Corey Brooks out to Chicago, Pastor Harrison on Thursday from Indiana. We want to hit DC definitely this week and then have another mother come on with us this weekend. So we are really grateful to God for all this. So we're tracking all of the shootings. Hey, good morning. What's up? Yeah, good morning. And so we're going to be doing what we need to do moving forward. So join us tomorrow. If you could join us in the park, we'd love to have you. 6:45. Meet us at the St. John Rex Park. We're going to be running. And so we would definitely love to have you on. So God bless everybody. Good to see you. And hopefully we'll see you guys again tomorrow. All right. Take good care, everybody.